Ladies and gentlemen, it's Me and Green Nation podcast. Welcome to it. Um, we don't have any sponsors here, so I'm just eating a generic breakfast snack from a
An,
generic restaurant.
an invisible hash brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what's going on. Folks, I'm live. I was gonna click live. I accidentally clicked live in Memphis. Um, as I was walking in Memphis. God, I hate that song. It was a playlist to drive here, right? Because we drove to Memphis, Tennessee, and I was like just playing songs with Memphis in them. I had to eliminate a lot of like 3 6 Mafia songs because I don't want my
Hmm.
kids to hear some of the. But like one of them is
You
like
get
Mark
it.
Mark Cohn's. I mean, yeah, you have to find the edited version. I mean, whatever. You just keep it simple, right? Keep the mood up. One of them was Mark Cohn's "Walking in Memphis" song. I immediately hate that song because it just like I put on my blue suede shoes and then it's in the pouring rain. I was like, man, this guy just cliche. He's like songwriting cliches. Yeah, let's get this one. Actually, just get all of them. Let's dump them in here. Then we'll just play that one.
Well, he sounds like he's about to cry the whole song.
And then I read like the reason for it. He was like real sad because he was a songwriter and he sucked. That's what it was. He was like, oh, I'm
Oh,
28.
well,
Let me go to Memphis because James Taylor and then he wrote that. So I'm a little upset. Is what I'm getting at.
it tracks.
Um, because because I went to Memphis and we lost the game. Yeah. So we got here right. We lost. That's really it. That's what the takeaway is. Again, if you're like, I love the Mean Green, but I don't really have ESPNU. I don't have the Mean Green Nation, the Mean Green Radio Network. And so I rely on the Mean Green Nation podcast to let me know what happened. Well, that's where we're here, folks. So we got Aldo on. It's approximately 4 a.m. in Alaska. That's where you are, right, Aldo? Can you confirm
Yeah,
that?
nearby. Actually, I'm halfway there.
He's closer to Alaska than you are. Let's say that, right? All right. So here's the takeaway, I guess. Right? We lost 52-44. Top level. I'm just asking you a question. Are you impressed by that?
Well, no, I'm not impressed that we lost.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if like
I am
Monday we
impressed,
were
but
13-point underdogs, and we're like, okay, we lost 52-44. What do you think?
yeah, I was impressed on how we performed. It was better than well, I wouldn't say better than expected, right? There was my mind was like there was not going to be any in between. We're either going to pull out a win or we're going to get absolutely crushed. That'll kind of demonstrate where we are
Mm-hmm.
in the conference.
Yeah.
Can we compete for a title? Which this kind of answers the question. It's like yes, we have the chance to compete for a title.
Wait, tell me. I
At
gotta call out. You got your Obama voice on? Is that we got
I
a
just
chance to
woke up.
compete
I
for a
rolled
title?
rolled out of bed and uh this is what we're gonna win.
We got
And
Aldo speaking like a politician over here. That's what losses do to you guys. That's what happens. My
yeah,
administration will not tolerate loss. Go ahead.
we got him. Uh, it was unexpected. Our performance, like I said, as a beaten down fan, I was thinking we'd get crushed against a team that was considered, one of the top echelon teams in the conference, and I feel like we did all right. And while at this point in time, it's too early to say like, oh, we're out of contention because some anything can happen to Memphis. Um, I prefer to have our own, control our own destiny. But at this point, I'm like, okay, we could be a bowl team. Yeah, I know we can be a bowl team. We can head there. That's the next goal, and then controlling our own destiny to get maybe to the championship after that. We can compete against other teams, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, right? And we're gonna talk about this. Well, hold us to it. This is why we could have gone live because people would have been like, you didn't do the thing you said." So Um, at the top level, yeah, we're 13-point underdogs. I thought that was high. I was like, wait, we're not that much worse off. Uh,
Yeah, that was a lot.
going into the game, right? Like what did I do? I previewed the game. I did a little preview podcast. And if you boil all that down, right? What? Give me the high level, Adam. What were we talking about? I was saying this, that Memphis has been in one game where they were asked to score a lot, and they lost that game, right, to Navy. That you can't really ask them to have 3, 4, 10 plus play drives in this game, and they'll do something. They'll mess up. They'll drop a pass, start barking at each other. And so that's, to me, is the game plan, right? Like Seth Hennigan's good. You can't allow them to run up the middle. That's what they like to do. It's also hard to stop them from running up the middle. That's where the whole offense is based on that action. And teams have been forcing them to throw against drop eight coverage. That's what we need to do. We need to build off that game plan. Um, and then I felt like we had a chance because I also felt like Memphis's good defense, right, coming into this game, hyped up, right. We got a good defense. Seth Hennigan was like, yeah, our defense is real good. We know they can blah blah blah. They hadn't played anybody, right? Like they played a backup quarterback at USF. They played Navy, which is weird. But nobody else has a quarterback nearly as good as Chandler Morris. And so I felt like we can do some things to them. They haven't really been tested. And, you put all that together. Maybe they're asked to score with us, score for score. And then, maybe something happens and we win, right? That's basically what I felt like. And it didn't really follow that script exactly, but there was a lot of that. And I mean, North Texas led in this game twice, right? Was it 21-14?
Or, no, there's like six or seven score changes in this one.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. But like, I'm just thinking, like, for the long periods we were leading this game. We had it. I think we messed it up, and then I think the other headline of this one was the defense was bad. Right, defense let us down again. And that's one. I mean, I don't see what you say. I'm just tell you right now. I disagree with that. I don't think that the defense was awful, and I'll kind of tell. But I also realize that it's sort of a like, Christmas morning, bad actually. It sounds like I'm doing that, right? So I'll defend it a little bit better. But Aldo, what did you think? What
Well,
was your immediate impression of the defense?
well, oh, my follow up question was, well, Adam, we allowed 500 yards of offense.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll defend it. I'll get on here and I'll defend it.
oh no, I'm gonna keep picking. I'm gonna keep it. Um, you're asking about the defense.
Yeah,
I think
what was your immediate
it,
reaction? Right, you're up there in the great Northwest, right in Alaska, in your bear skins and whatnot.
the tundra,
Yeah.
eating berries, fighting bears.
Shut up,
Um,
bear. I'm trying to watch the game.
get on my face, bear. The It's hard to characterize, right? When you've got the obvious thing like we allowed 500 yards of defense, that's pretty bad. But I think we did in most of the game, we contained Memphis and gave our offense an opportunity to execute. And we're asking a lot on both sides of the ball. We're asking a lot, and it hasn't been a complete game all at once, right? Where we're having to ask the offense to score a lot of points, and then we're asking the defense to stop their offense, and it hasn't worked out, and it didn't work out quite well this game. I think we on paper it looks bad, but watching the game, watching the execution, there was a handful of plays that were gut wrenching because obviously they scored points, but about 80% of the time we did we did all right. 20% of the time they scored 52 points. It's a big difference.
Yeah. So let me give you context into this. So I'm gonna just read a bunch of stats at you. You can comment as you see fit, and then I will sort of what's the word? What I'm gonna do here? I will you know read some stats at you, comment on them, and then I'm gonna defend my position here. All right. So total yards 653 for good old North Texas Mean Green, 526 for Memphis. And it was basically this way the whole game, where we were about 100 yards greater than them throughout, right? 445 pass yards to their 319, 208 rushing to their 207, 33 first downs to their 21. 9 of 20 on third downs to their 5 of 13. And if you need that, because maybe you're like, oh man, that was a long time ago when I took my math classes. 45% for us, 38.5 for them. Third down conversions, right? We were at 3 of 6 on fourth. They did not go for it on fourth downs. We ran 97 plays. They ran 70. 6.7 yards per play for us, 7.5 for them, right? Both good for them. 12.4 yards per completion, 13.3 for them. Our average rush, 6.3. Theirs, 6.5. Um, we were 4-5 in the red zone. Obviously, that last one, right where we threw an interception with 2 seconds left, that was the one we didn't score on. So it's a little misleading, but it's all part of the thing. And we turned the ball over. We had a fumble and then an interception. Right, the interception lost the game. Whatever, it is what it is.
Well,
Um,
then, and turnover on downs
yeah,
too.
we that's not counted usually in like turnover plays, but yes, we had like two or three. Right, I think it was
Mm.
one, two, three. I count three, and they did not have any. Um, let me. What was this other one? I just had pulled it up, and then you did what I asked you to do and commented and ruined my whole life. Um, so we had 10 plays, 10 pass plays of 15 plus for 286 yards. They had 8 of the same kind for 229. We had 6 plays of 10 yards or more running for 200 yards, 196 yards. And they had 5 for 141, right? So a lot of big plays taking up a chunk of these yards, and I think that's sort of the key. I think that's kind of what I'm talking about when I'm like, we had huge plays, right? Big chunk plays, and we're not doing a great job throughout most of the game of moving the ball here and there, getting to the thing, right? But I'm going to defend the thing. Here's my headline, right? I felt after being at the game, one, it's like my first in-person North Texas game this season, and I kind of set perfect angle, basically like press box level, right, of Liberty Stadium. I like those old stadiums that it just kind of gradually go up. It's not really a bad view in the house. Anyway, um, I had a good view. I could see the defense. I could see the offense and see what we're trying to do. I could see what Chandler Morris is seeing. Um, it looked like two good teams playing each other. There were portions in the first half of the game where North Texas looked clearly the best. Memphis made an adjustment. North Texas had to adjust, right? There was a long period, and we'll talk about this in a second in more detail, where North Texas defense was doing a great job against Memphis, and they had to adjust, right? And it was very entertaining, and I wish I wasn't rooting so hard for North Texas because I would have enjoyed it more. But as it was, it hurt my heart when we were not doing it. It's like, oh, it hurt so much. Also, just as a side note, their PA announcer's terrible. Or we gotta get him some binoculars or a spotter or something, because I find it very easy to tell the difference between Shane Porter and Mackenzie McGill. And maybe I don't know. I still do see color. I mean, let me just say that. You know what I mean? I don't know. But the PA announcer, he didn't. Maybe that's good for him. He was like, all right, Shane Porter run. I was like, that's clearly a Mackenzie McGill. He wears a different number and everything. Whatever. And then other guys. He was like, was it Landon Sides caught somebody and he was like, the tight end, Brendan Young. I was like, what? That dude was 87. You're talking about, and that was 22. What are you even saying, guy? All right. Anyway, um, so I felt like it was that right back and forth, all that other stuff. It came down to one play. If on the last two throws into the end zone that we had from the 18, we complete one of those, it's in overtime. And then here's the other thing, right? Before this game, if you were presented the opportunity to do a Freaky Friday switch and say, all right, you get the Memphis defense, they will inhabit the bodies of all your North Texas defenders, right? Be like, oh, yeah, sounds great. They're so good. This Memphis defense, they're so good. Yeah, 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 right? Seth Hennigan, our fan base is all saying this. But then if I read those stats at you again, right? All right, well, now you allowed nearly 700 yards of offense. Get sliced up for 445 yards passing, right? QB, 3 touchdowns and ran for one, right? You allowed two one play 75 yard drives, by the same guy, one passing, one rushing, right? Now do you like that defense? You're like, no, we're terrible. What's going on, man? Well, that's what happened, right? Our offense sliced up their super amazing defense. It's so much better than ours for more yards and more points, right? It's college
Yeah,
football. Like just one second, sir. I'm not done with my order. Um, um, that it's college football that this happens. That I ask us like, are you giving us a chance, right? I mentioned what Tom Herman was saying about his defensive coordinator. Was that Rico Bellinati, whatever it is? That he basically says elite defense is that getting them 1 point than the other one. So yeah, you're like we're not elite because we allowed 7 more points or 8 more points, whatever it was. Um, but like in the second quarter, from the 5 minute mark, we forced them to punt 3 and out. Then we forced them to punt 3 and out. Then we forced them to punt 3 and out. In that total time, they gained 2 for -1. That was what it is. Third quarter, 3 and out, 3 yards. Next one, 3 plays, -6 yards. That's good defense. Core portion of the game, what they call that middle eight, right there, in into the second half, start of the second half. One, two, three, four, five. Was it five 3 and outs, and then we had one in the first quarter. Five 3 and outs, right? They basically gained no yards. Then they went TD, TD, TD field goal, right? So you're like, oh, that's where people remember, like, why can't our defense get a stop? We're so bad. We already got the stops. We got them. We got some stops. That's when we needed the offense to go score some points. We couldn't score some points. Like you were saying, it's complimentary football, right? It's peanut butter, no jelly, right? It's what happened. We didn't have it together because then that was a perfect time to take a 21-point lead. We take that lead, then it's a shootout at the end. Now we can't stop. Whatever. I don't hate what they did. I think there was clearly some things that we could have improved, but they got five straight, you know, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 straight plays Memphis tried. And they're like, all right, best we can do is punt here. I'll say they scored on 8 of their 15 drives, which is 53%. That's obviously good. They only had one 10-play drive. And that was kind of the problem. We needed them to take more 10-play drives. And, they were moving down the field and, they kept converting third downs, like late, those big 3rd and 12s, but we got them to 3rd and 12s. I credit them. They did a good job. They found some run lanes. They scored touchdowns when they needed to. Good job, Memphis. I think North Texas is getting there. We had, was it Cam McFarland, Quentin Hammonds out there playing safety. I thought they did a good job until they didn't, and that's kind of it. I'm excited about the future. We get one guy that can rush the passer, right? Because we could not get to Seth Hennigan, but that's also what Memphis does. So I mean, like they've done that to everybody all season.
yeah, they've got a great O line. There's a lot to cover there.
Nope, that's it. That's the end of the
All
podcast, everybody. Well, it was great.
right, all right, goodbye. Um, with regards to the offense, uh, the defense was doing its job to that middle eight that you're talking about. We couldn't move the ball, not because we were inefficient. I mean, yeah, there was mistakes there, maybe a drop or two, but the Memphis defense matched up with us pretty well. They were on our guys, weren't allowing separation, and then Morris wasn't able to find somebody that was open, and so that led to a lot of punts as well. So it became a defensive battle in the middle of offensive explosion on both sides. So credit to the Memphis defense there. When there was an opportunity to score or flip the field, we didn't take it. We didn't do it. We left points on the board at least once, maybe twice, where we had a chance for a field goal. Trying to go for it on 4th down a little early. I get the aggression, and if we were to have executed on those, what was it? I think it was like 4 4th downs in a row that we didn't convert on, something like that. Maybe three. Three 4th downs in a row that we didn't convert.
Well, I see two, and then we fumbled, which is sort of the same because it was like on fourth
Yeah.
down and we fumbled.
And so instead of taking the points or trying to flip the field, we gave them scoring opportunities. And I mean, I'm not saying the score would have been 52-47 if we hadn't taken a field goal. Things changed throughout the game. But I wish we had taken those 3 points early on instead of going for it. It was a long 4th down. I wish we hadn't gone for the onside kick with plenty of time to go in the fourth quarter. Uh, it playing. I don't even know why, if there was a lack of trust on the defense or feeling like you trusted your offense so much that you felt like you could do it. Because yeah, there were times when, especially early on in the game, that guys were getting open left and right for us. Um, and that's why we had so many yards. Morris has great vision. He was finding those guys and moving the ball around. But you know, there was that stretch that just nothing was happening for either team.
Yeah, that's the other criticism. I think I said last week we criticized the decision to go for it from our own 32. It was like 4th and 6 or something like that. And then I'm like, we're just leaving a short field for Memphis. I mean, for FAU, and if they kick a field goal, then we're down 10, right? And then we got to go score, stop, score. Like that's asking a lot, right? But we got it. We won the game. Okay, all right, all right. Now I felt like, yeah, you're right. That I like the aggression. I appreciate being like, hey, let's go win and looking for places and being all this other stuff. But I also feel like you can take some points sometimes, and especially on the road, because then you can build on that. That's still a win. If we end drives with points, they add up, right? Yeah, it's like I can see, hey, look, we're in the middle tier. It's a long field goal, right? Maybe it's not going to work out. Maybe Nguma didn't have this leg right here, and let's go for it, right? It's 4th and 7. I get that, but if we're in clear field goal range, and I think we were, what was it on the? I'm trying to look at it. We're on the Memphis 30 at the 29 third quarter. It was like early in the third quarter. It was an 8 play drive, went 48 yards, and I think we tried to go for it quick. We ran it into the line with Shane Porter, little counter play, went nowhere, and then we lined up quickly and threw it over the top. We had Dalton Carnes 1-on-1, and he was killing that dude. So I get all that. And you're like, oh, we scored it, and we take the lead, whatever. I get it. And I think the next play, they score. No, they punt it, right? So it kind of worked out. It was like whatever. Um, but yeah, like take some points there. Like and yeah, and you're like, oh, but you don't take the lead. You're still down a point. Yes, but you're only down a point, right? Yeah, whatever. So what happened was we went for it on downs. They punt it. We get it. We tied it, right? Because we went down and scored. But then they took the lead. They went down and scored. So then we drive and we score. Then they drive and they score. Whatever, right? So, but if we take the points there, we added three, and then we were just a little bit closer, right? And so that point when they went up, 11, that would be 8, right? Instead of, and then we end up scoring, and we go for 2. Yeah, we missed it, but it changes it a little bit because then instead at the end of the game, instead of getting the ball and needing to go down the field and score a touchdown, we just need a field goal again, right? Because we got the field goal earlier. That's why you do it. And to your point, yes, you're right. It, every time you score, it changes the game, right? So it's butterfly effect. You don't know what's going to happen. Um, but I'm a fan of taking some points from like you just set a line, right? Hey, look, if we're in the 20, in the 18 or something like that, and it's a chip shot field goal, let's take it. It's fine. It's a win. Like we want points. We can take the easy points, especially in the first half, especially early in the third. Take some points. Um, if you're in these middle tiers, like I wouldn't even like I would internally just say, hey, if we're in these yard lines and this down and distance, we're gonna go for it. So let's call the plays with that in mind. But if we're over here, we're gonna be taking points, and I think it's fine. Because ultimately that's the stat that matters. Is points on the board. And you'd be like, well, our efficiency or yards per play, or we're doing it. It doesn't matter, man. We had 44 points, which is nice, but we needed 53 points in this game.
Hmm. And I wanted to check the time of possession. It was pretty even, right? 32 minutes for Memphis and 29 for
Wait,
North Texas, which kind of
I see you looking at. Did you keep the time of possession behind your camera? Is that what?
I got more screens. I got a plethora of screens. All
Let me
right.
check. Where is it? It's over
And
there.
and your head's in the way.
Yeah, okay, sorry,
So
sorry about that.
the it felt like Memphis had the ball for a lot longer. And you said there was a insane amount of plays by each team, 97 by North Texas, which is mind-boggling, and 70 by Memphis, which is a pretty good clip. That's a lot of time for
Good and bad stuff
Memphis
to
to,
happen.
right, exactly. And we weren't, I don't think we were efficient, right? 97 plays, 29 minutes, 44 points. That means the defense is being called on to do a lot of stuff because we were off the field pretty quickly at that point. So uh, I want to give credit to the defense. I think schematically we looked good against Memphis. We matched up really well against them, but we were asking them to be on the field a lot, or at least pretty quickly, back onto the field. Because even though the time of possession was fairly even, when you're talking about 97, that means we went on spurts, right?
Hmm.
One play drive, one play drive, 4 play drive or whatever, and then like at what was that 10, 12 play drive. It was up and down, but then sometimes we were asking the defense to get back on and do it again. And so they while they allowed 52 points, 500 yards, they did what they could based on what the offense was dishing out. And so full credit to them.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I think it's like there's a gut reaction to be like, this was bad. I can't believe. And like I think that I understand that feeling. Like, oh, we can never stop them. I mean, it was not good. You don't want to allow 24 points in the third and fourth quarters, right? This is what we did. Um, three straight touchdowns in the last uh, four possessions, and then a field goal to boost it up. Like that was a stop. But I will say this: that like yeah, we forced 6 punts, one missed field goal, and then we got a field goal attempt out of them. Right, their terrible kicker made one with a minute left, so it's a minute five left. We have the ball and we have fate in our hands. Right, we have our quarterback, who's our best player, with the ball and a chance to go down and tie. And it almost happened, right? This is what I said again, though, right? Is I was saying about basketball is that you don't really want to be last possession shots. Like that means it can go 50-50, right? That's how it happens, right? You miss it or you make it. And then you're like, oh, this guy had the clutch gene. Dude, it's still a miss or make thing. It doesn't matter if you get the ball to Michael Jordan last second. It's still a miss or make. You
Yeah, and
want,
it's even like
yeah,
it's less than 50% sometimes. It's 30%.
yeah. And so like you want that chance, but I'd rather be up 10 with a minute to go. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that sounds great.
Hmm.
I don't, like, uh, but that's what I'm saying is that like we don't have a team that's like championship level worthy where we're like, you know what, our defense is very good, our offense is very good. We're like, we have a very powerful offense, but, right, and we'll talk about this in a second. We have a lot of freshman receivers, a lot of question marks, a lot of penalties on offense. There's still room for improvement, which is exciting on one hand, and then a little frustrating on the other. Because you watch the games, you're like, oh, why does it feel like we played poorly on offense? And you look at the stats, like nearly 700 yards, right? 44 points, 6.7 yards per play. We're moving the ball, but what was that fourth down call? What happened there? Why could we not protect Chandler Morris? Where were we down the field? Tyler Mercer a couple times, illegal man downfield. So you start asking those things. Same way with the defense, right? You're like, why did I feel like they played bad and good? Well, it's because that's what happened, right? Yeah, five straight 3-and-outs. That was great. That's what we needed. That was what we're talking about. But hey, four straight scores by the Memphis. They threw that ball over the top. Here's why we need depth, right? Cam McFarland, who I think has come in and played good stuff. He was the one that got beat, number 49 over the top. He's also a safety, and that's Zero is their guy. Um, 89 Dawkins was just a step too late. Memphis did a play action. Max protected. I think they kept both or one of their tight ends in, and then the running back in. So they're protecting with seven, and it's a three-man route, and one of them's going deep over the top. We had the coverage. We had a safety over the top, but it is a safety, and he's a little too slow, right? A little step behind. Touchdown pass. That's it. So, but, hey, Matt Capone, what are you thinking? Matt Capone wasn't out there running, right? I mean, Matt
Could
Capone,
have.
Matt Capone lost that play in the offseason when B.J. Allen Xavier Bryce, David Sproles were out getting into trouble, right? That's when he lost that play there because they would have been playing, right? And Jalen Hill would have been guarding that, or Evan Jackson would have been guarding that because they were the backup guys, right? David Sproles would have been the starting safety, and so we would have had a little bit more depth. That's the answer. So you need more depth, right? For hey, I'm getting tired. But here's the other thing: is like people give up plays. Cam McFarland, it's whatever. It was one play, right? It happens. You come back to the next one. Um, but again, that's the part where we're missing. It's some pass rushing depth. Dawkins couldn't get there. He was getting tired. Dawkins has been our backup because we had Shipley, but he's hurt, right? So that's when you're talking about what's wrong with the D. How can we improve? We can go recruit. We can go find some guys. We need somebody as good as Dawkins, as good as Shipley, to come in. So we have two guys that are starter level worthy. So when one guy goes sits down, get some Gatorade. Do they even drink Gatorade anymore? When they drink their water,
They
whatever.
had Powerade bottles there.
No, but they might put water, like electrolyte infused, whatever. What about what plants need? You know, what plants crave.
It's good for you. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I'm saying. That's what we need. Like, was it scheme? Like you were saying you like to. Yeah, I saw guys in position. We just couldn't. Like, oh, you got to teach them how to tackle. Yeah, sure, man. Yeah, there's only so much time in a day. These are these are dudes that have been, they play Pop Warner. They learned how to tackle. There's only 20 hours in the week, and you have to say, hey, look, they do this shift, they do this motion shift. You got to do this here. When we call this one, you need to be doing that. Oh, by the way, let me teach you the fundamentals of football, how to tackle again. I mean, sometimes it just you miss a tackle.
Well, and we've talked about this before, and I can't remember if we've talked about it on the show or just in person about the lack of aggression. You need a guy that is just super aggressive, that's gonna just clock somebody, right? Memphis has got one or two of those guys,
Yeah.
trying their best to knock somebody over. But when we're caught out of position, and I like to pick on Wislowski because it's sometimes that you see him a lot in those situations. On the touchdown run that went to the outside, he got pushed out by I don't know if it was the tackle or what, but he was going for the gap and he got pushed outside. Touchdown. Um, he was gonna tackle somebody behind the yards to gain, but he was really upright. He was in the wrong position, and then he hesitated on the tackle and he get over. And so, guy get instead of getting hit behind the line, not behind the line, but for I think a fourth down at this point, he falls forward and with
Yeah.
momentum, and he gets to the half-yard line, and then they score a touchdown after that. So it turns from potentially 3 points to 7 points. There's a lot of little situations when it's one-on-one football, and we got beat a lot of times. And that was the same thing on offense too, right? Where we were sending Chandler Morris at the line of scrimmage to try to convert a fourth down, 4th and 4. Um, and the blocking looks good, but then all of a sudden their defensive lineman throws one of our offensive linemen out of the way, forces a fumble,
Yeah, I think
Memphis
you
ball.
said he threw 54, right? Which is Mercer, which is our freshman center, right?
Yeah, one of those guys. I lost track. There's just bodies flying everywhere.
Yeah. Some of those are hard for me to see because I'm in the game. So like, if I don't see it, if I don't, they don't show the replays, they're not replay heavy there at Liberty Stadium. If I was like, I didn't see it, I don't know what happened. It's kind of, I
Yeah, there
wanted to be
was
like, hey, go back real quick. Oh wait, I can't. I'm live
he
and in
he
person.
had daylight for 2 seconds. Well, maybe not even that long, but there was daylight. There was a lane, and then by the time he got to the lane was gone,
Mm,
and he got tackled. So if it were a running back, I'm sure a running back with more explosion. Anyway, I'm getting too much into the
yeah,
weeds of this. There was a lot of situations like that where there wasn't enough time. One-on-one battles were lost. But then you got guys like Shane Porter, who has it's turning out to have pretty good balance, where he'll get knocked at the line of scrimmage, he'll bounce and then he'll keep going. You think he's down, but he's still running.
yeah. I think yeah, 'cause I think it's important to talk about some of those other guys. Like Shane Porter ran for 75 yards. It took him 13 carries, and I guess compared to DT Sheffield, he ran one time for 75 yards. That he has a little explosion, that you can tell that he hasn't played running back because he runs differently, right? He doesn't run like a running
He,
back. Yeah,
he holds the ball far away.
yeah, it's kind of weird like that. But it was funny. I was kind of joking because he ran like a 30 yarder, I think his long one, and I was like, he's a wide receiver. You guys are letting a wide receiver running on you. Um, he was good. Kiefer Sibley only had one carry. He didn't really do too great. Mackenzie McGill didn't get to run over guys this time. We tried to get him on some short yard stuff. I think one thing that slowed the offense a ton was our run game. That Shane Porter was hit or miss. Like he'd run for like 5 yards, 6 yards, but then the next one he'd lose it two. Right? Uh, McGill ran 6 times for no yards. His longer was three. Right? That kind of stuff was bad. Um, it also let's throw in the terrible special teams. Right? Center snapped it over the
Mm.
yeah, that was awful. Um, yeah, it looked like things were gonna break down there for a little bit. This game had a lot of stuff like that. It's just like it was like four different games in one game where
Yeah, we can't rely on Memphis to make those same mistakes, or the other teams in general to make the same mistakes that we're putting ourselves into.
yeah, that's the thing is that like you can say it was even, right? Like Rock Taylor, he was wide ass open. He dropped it right on a deep post. He dropped it, and so I was like, I don't really trust their wide receivers so much. They have a lot of those dudes there. You had some things go for them, some things go against them. Like there was one, I don't know. I felt like we should have challenged the fumble
The
or something.
Rempert,
Yeah, or yeah, the Rimper one. Yeah. But we didn't. And then they I guess they gave him the review for the Jair Shorter one. He had caught a pass, a 40 yarder up the sideline or something like that.
yeah, we got all the ones where we caught it, and they called it a catch, and then they reviewed those. But then you got that one, and they called it no catch, and they didn't review those. And then they reviewed the shorter catch as well. That was pretty frustrating.
It was like a
But those,
first down one. Yeah, that was. So they had that big drop, and then we had a big drop. Right, I think it was Conrad over the middle. I think it was. It was hard for me to get exactly who it was. I don't know. If it was Conrad or Rempert.
it was con right.
Yeah, here I'll say
They
this.
both did.
Yeah,
Both
like
both had drops.
Rempert, one catch on four targets. Right. DT Sheffield, 8 catches on 14 targets. Dalton Carnes, 5 catches on 12 targets. Conrad, 5 catches on 8 targets. And, like there's a lot there where Conrad was open. I thought Rempert, he kind of played a poor game. He got open sometimes. Like, he didn't catch them. And then also, Chandler Morse is missing him. Like, you can tell Rempert was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm open. Um, it was like on little skinny posts, right? We'd run, I forget the exact thing it's called, but we'd run a deep post from the inside receiver, and the outside receiver would run a slant underneath it, right? So you sort of clear it out, and the guy was open, or like just an in or a dig, it was just various combinations. And Remper was open a ton on those, and the ball would sky, he would go too high. Like I don't think that Chandler Morris played a perfect game. He threw for 445 yards. And we could have had it so much easier. Right? There was sometimes like, oh, we missed on a 3rd and 6, and then later on it's like 4th and 13, and he throws a perfect ball. And you're like, okay, well, I mean, I don't know, like, it's great, but it would have been nice if you completed this other one. There was also like so. Here's what I'm saying, right? Last drive, Chandler Morris was pretty good. Right, that last minute five, but also he like rolls out right, escapes two dudes. All of Memphis is in the stands. They're all kind of nervous, like, "Oh, what is he gonna do?" It's kind of weird that all the nervous energy. And he's rolling, and he has Conrad down the middle, and he's like pointing, like, "Oh, throw it to space. I'm open." And he looks at him, but then he's like, "Ah, let me just get out of bounds for a loss of 2 yards." I'm like, "Dude, just throw it out of bounds.
Yeah,
What are you doing?"
that's something that's something that I'm learning about him is that he will extend the play for as long as possible, and he's not going to throw it away. He
Yeah.
is not that guy. I get it. I respect it. A lot of times it works out. I mean, he had 60% completion rating, right?
Yeah.
Even though we're talking about all this, and he had 61 opportunities, 61
Hmm.
pass attempts, which is insane.
Yeah.
That's six.
Yeah, he wasn't perfect, but so I guess that's the part is like that's actually a good thing, right? Like there's so many things we can clean up, and that would make us better, right? 652 yards of offense. Imagine if we, didn't hurt ourselves so much, right? If we caught some of those passes, right? That what was it? How many drives a day? You mentioned it, right? It's like turnover on downs, two straight turnover on downs, and then a fumble, right? Imagine if we don't do that and complete those passes, right? Don't have to go for it on fourth down. Then those are longer drives, maybe touchdown drives, maybe field goal drives, right? It's just so much there where we're like, ugh, it could have been.
we don't we don't use that word here. Field goals.
Yeah. You shut up and Guma, says Eric Morris, his kicker. Yeah, I can kick that, coach. Shut up. Ain't no kick
Sit down.
around here. This ain't soccer. This ain't soccer, son. In West Texas, where I'm from. Uh, so we had 5 70-plus yard drives. Only 2 3-and-outs. Memphis, 6 3-and-outs. Our drive success rate was 80%. Our TD rate 38%. Because we didn't score a lot of time. It kept, whatever. We moved the ball sometimes. Our average yards gained on our drive, 42 yards. There's 34 yards. We had 3 10-plus play yard drives.
I
So
also want to point out the 61 pass attempts by Morris versus right here it says 33 attempts, but 10 of those are from Morris himself, and I think he only had what, two designed runs. So I'm gonna take 8 off of that.
yeah,
So that's like 61 pass attempts to about 25 rush attempts. That's a huge issue. I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
The run game, we couldn't run. We couldn't run that well. Again, it was like gap, but then sometimes we tried to get to the outside, and then we'd lose 3 4 yards, right? Also, like we ran for 208, and you're like, oh, look at that, 6.3 yards per carry, but one of those was the 75-yard run from Sheffield on a jet sweep. One of those was a 30-yard run from Shane Porter. One of those was a 49-yard run from Chandler Morris, which was a pass play, I think. Yeah, and
it wasn't a design run.
yeah, and so like our run game, where we're like, okay, inside zone, outside zone, counter play here, uh, bash away, whatever we're gonna do, um, didn't really do well. There was a lot of losses there, and then yeah, you also
Yeah,
take 21 yards from the punt and the official stats, but whatever. Good.
they're the jet sweep. I think we tried a jet sweep later on, and there were several different plays that worked great against FAU. Some of those actually, I think, believe scored touchdowns last week against FAU that Memphis shut down. We got hit behind the line of scrimmage.
You're talking about that
Sheffield.
screenplay, that middle screen to DT Sheffield.
The, yep, that was one of them. The middle screen, and then trying just a regular jet sweep again with Sheffield late in the game, that where Sheffield tweaked his ankle or something. They sniffed those out. They obviously watched the tape. They knew how to identify the plays, and they knew what they were doing. So, again, got to credit Memphis for being prepared for that. It was evenly matched.
They were
Uh,
walking in Memphis. Sorry, that song's still in my head and I hate it.
well,
Uh,
we were rushing in Memphis. We were passing in
we
Memphis,
weren't
but
rushing in Memphis.
yeah, it was an evenly matched game, I think. And I don't want to say like the better team won out in the end, but the team with the fewest mistakes won
Yeah,
out in the end.
I mean, yeah. Again, they had a veteran quarterback, right? Seth Hennigan's been there for whatever. He's 3-0 against us, and I don't like that. But in 2 years, here's to put it on perspective, right? Because you're going through your week. Like I say, Sundays not so great when you lose, right? You wake up a little angry, like, oh, kids like, hey, can I? No,
Headache.
no, you can't have any. Can we go? No, we can't go to the park. I don't want you clean up your room, whatever. Dogs jumping. Get off of me, dog. You know,
Everybody's gonna be sad too. You should be more upset about this.
yeah. I don't know if this family appreciates everything I do for this. So whatever. But as you're thinking about this week, licking your wounds a little bit, consider that Memphis was the third best team in the league last season, right? And we took them to the final drive. We had the lead in the final minute. Consider that Memphis is one of at least the talented, squads. I think Army and Navy have the best record, but Memphis and Tulane, I think, are right there, right? I would think Army's a little bit of a paper tiger, but whatever. Um, They're good, right? And we're playing right there with them, right? That's all very good. Like Army hasn't played; they're not going to play Memphis or Tulane, and then they play Navy in a game that doesn't count for the record, right? So it's like, oh, look at them whooping on Temple, like I mean, okay, all right, how impressive is that? Everybody beats up Temple. So whatever, I'll talk about that when we play them, and then maybe I'll have to
You
eat my
got some
words or whatever.
feelings here.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just saying. Um, my point is that Memphis is a good squad, and they're 6 years into their rebuild, right? We played them in year 3, and we almost beat them. And we gave them a game here in Memphis. We played them in year 5, and they when I say rebuild, it's a rebuild under a new coach, right? Because the other one left, so they were kind of figuring out what Silverfield was going to have. But they've had 10 years. This is 11 straight years they've been to a bowl game. They've had years to build up this program, right? And I only count Silverfield to 6 because you never know, right? Dilfer went there. He went to UAB and destroyed everything they had. So it's very possible to destroy something good. Um, but they're a little bit further along than we are right here. We had some winning seasons under Seth Luttrell, sure. We went to the championship game, sure. But we know, that that was all sort of built on this little Potemkin village there, right? Like we're just kind of fix it up, patch it up, see what happens here. And you can kind of see that, right? Chandler Morris, Eric Morris had to get Chandler Morris in. He had to bring in 77 new guys to kind of figure out what it's going to be like. So this is like year 0 also again. Like last year, you can see Eric Morris figured out some things, and I see progress, is what I'm saying, right? We have done good against Memphis. We did okay in the first half against SMU last year, one of the 2 best teams in the league. We came back against Tulane. Good. Next week, we're going to learn some more, right? Um, we've played good football offensively. We can clean it up. And you can expect that our freshmen are going to improve. Hey, how about Miles Coleman, 7 catches, 62 yards? He looked good. He
Yeah,
looked dangerous.
without dropping a pass.
Yeah. How about Landon Sides looking a little bit like the Landon Sides we saw at the end of last year? Catching with his hands, turning up field, making some plays. Wyatt Young catching, he caught was it 3rd and 10? A little, a little swing pass on 3rd and 10. He turned it upfield, got a first down. That's why he throw those passes. Um, and again, we're down to the scraps bottom of the barrel. Like, who wants to play running back? Come here, Shane. I know you're a receiver, but let me tell you about the running back position. Just you can hold the ball however you want. You hold it like
Let
this.
me say this one thing.
So I mean, he ran for 75 yards. Like, we're putting it together, and I like it. And I like, even if Chandler Morris decides, you know what, I'm gonna try TCU again. Maybe he's on a rotation. He's gonna play for all the Texas teams. All the
Maybe
forward.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, maybe he's like, they had like a 12th year quarterback there. I mean, I can fill in. I'm sure they have a grad program. Is that I believe in Eric Morris's ability to identify and recruit and coach up a quarterback, right? Like, I think he can find one. Well, he's gonna have to do it anyway, whether it's into this off season or the next one. I feel confident in his ability to find a quarterback and bring him in here, or coach up the Mestamaker, or was it Cash McCollum, whoever we have underneath the number 1. And so I think the future is bright. And I hear everybody's gonna hate me on this. I don't want to become the defensive defender here, but I think that the defense is getting better. Like, ooh, 500 yards, that's better. And somebody said that on the message board. You think we graded well? No, I don't think we. No, it's not. 500 yards is not good. Nobody wants that. We got beat over the top. 49 got beat over the top. We couldn't get to Seth Hennigan. We couldn't get to him. We brought pressure, and then he was like, I got all day to throw. They were throwing some crossing routes at us, and those are hard to defend when you have no pass rush. When we're sitting all the way back, he's looking around. We sacked him once when he had 18 seconds to throw. He's like, oh, let me walk over here. Nope, still
War and
nobody.
Peace back there.
Yeah, and so we
Checking
obviously
his
have.
email.
Yeah. It's like, what is I got an alert? No, Siri. It's decibels is not
Getting
above
DoorDash.
90. Yeah. Just leave it at the front. By the way, I know there's 24,000 people there. They had a wrestling thing. They're 5-1, and they had a hard time getting some people there. 24,000, whatever. I don't know. It's kind of weird here in Memphis. I gotta say, I'm tired of Jerry Lawler though. Like, They have like 3 or 4 clips of him. All right, Memphis, it's time. Get Memphis loud. And then, it's like, it's time to do like the king and pull the strap down. Come on, Memphis. And then, the defender's like, come on, get hype. It's third down. It's like those 5 clips just over and over. And I was like, all right, I can't take this anymore. Um, all that to say is I think we're in a good spot. Next week we play Tulane, and I don't even know what to think about Tulane. I haven't watched them. I have not watched 1 minute of their game live. I haven't watched anything behind. I knew more about Memphis than I did about Tulane, but they're better than Tulane. I think I mean better than Memphis, even though they struggled against Rice. There's that fact, I guess.
Yeah, there's no one complete team in the league except for maybe Army. An intentional pause right there, so just so you could you could feel it. No, there's no one complete team. I think we had an opportunity last night to win the game. We
Hmm.
didn't take it. We're gonna have another opportunity next week to win against Tulane. We need to take it, and we play better at home per usual, and we just need to do it. We just need to execute, right? It's I don't know where I'm going with that sentence, but
No, I mean, like, look, I think the other part is to enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I had a great time at the game last night. It was
yeah,
fun to be there.
super entertaining.
Yeah, it's like like one of the problems of living out like without not within driving distance, easy driving distance of Denton, is I don't get to see a lot of North Texas games live. So I got to rely on these like, hey, are they coming through Memphis? Are they gonna play over here in Kentucky or something? Uh, and I like this. I like being in a league with Memphis because I think they're a good program, and it's good for us to be within near them. And I think we're not far off from a Memphis. You know what I mean? Like in terms of quality, they have a lot more support, historical support, right? The whole city likes them, all that kind of stuff. But I think it's good for North Texas and North Texas program to be in a relationship with Memphis because I think we can get better. We can learn what they do right, and we can learn to see what they do wrong, and we can improve upon it, and we can get some ideas.
We're gonna have their players transfer here.
Yeah, you want to come? You want to come with Dan? It's nice. Yeah. So like, but yeah, like that's the thing is because yeah, you're right. We can extend our recruiting footprint over to this Tennessee area. Some of these dudes are going to Memphis, and maybe they just don't want to live in Memphis anymore. They're like, yeah, I grew up here, whatever, like that, and it would be great to go play for the Tigers. But like, you know what? We go to Memphis every couple of years. Your family and friends will be there. You come play in Denton. It's not that far, right? You come, it'd be a good time. You can win some of those recruiting battles. That's not crazy. Anyway, I say all that is that I thought it was enjoyable, and that remember to enjoy being a North Texas fan. We had a fun and entertaining night. We almost won. That was fun. It sure was fun. That 75-yard touchdown, and then the next one, and then how we took the lead later. Like all those things are fun. I think we're in store for more of those because like Tulane's good. You throw an Army, which is Aldo's favorite team. Um, uh,
Yeah. Who-
those 3 squads are they're in the schedule. But also we got who else we got? We got ECU, and then we traveled to ECU this year. Is that what? I can't remember the schedule. Let me look it up.
ECU and Temple.
Yeah, yeah, it's at Temple. So that's a good. That's another one that you pick out a destination. All right, here you go. So at Memphis this was yesterday. Tulane for homecoming. Then we have a bye week, which is nice to get prepared for Army, which is great because we're going to say, all right, boys, here's the triple option, and here's how you defend it. And then at UDSA, right in the Alamo Dome.
I forgot about them.
Yeah, that's one. Like, if you want to take any frustrations out, take it out on that team, because like do that. And then it's ECU at home. Sorry, and then it's Temple away. So of that group, Tulane, Army, UTSA, ECU, Temple, we got to get a win, and we're bowl eligible. And I think like, you don't want to take anybody lightly, all that other good stuff. But Temple, ECU, and UTSA all give you a lot more room for error, right? It was like last week, FAU gave us some more room for error. Memphis, not a whole lot of room for error, right? Tulane, not a lot of room for error. Army, who knows? They scored on their first drive every game. They've never trailed. Apparently they're the best team in the nation.
Yeah, they're and even so, right? There's less room for error, or was less room for error against Memphis. We committed a lot of errors, but we were still in the game, and so I have confidence that we'll be able to put up another game against Tulane. Obviously, we always hope for a win, and it should be another entertaining one against them.
Yeah, and I'll talk to the team see if they can't get a game out there in Seattle or something like that, so you can go. Up there in Alaska.
Yeah, send them up here.
Well,
Men's basketball's coming up here to Oregon State, I believe, next year.
yeah.
Should be there.
Well, I mean, next year we go to Wyoming, right? Which is sort of like in Colorado. That's not too far for you, right? You can climb down the
I mean, I
mountain
have
from
to
there.
fly.
I mean, yeah,
Yodelihu, like Price is Right style.
yeah.
Yodelihu.
I imagine you just walking down that one. I mean, I want to try to go to that one next because you fly to Denver and it's like an hour or two drive up north to Laramie. In my head, I imagine like Wyoming, like up there in the vastness of that upper part of the
It
United States.
it still is, yeah.
Yeah, but Laramie isn't. Laramie is like right here. It's like real close to civilization. It's like Denver, and then is Laramie above it. So
Yeah, when I drove, I believe I drove through Laramie on my way up here. We
Oregon
went
Trail
through
style.
Denver. Yeah, and there's a lot of Oregon Trail landmarks throughout there,
Yeah,
and I mean it's pretty country,
yeah,
just rolling
yeah,
hills.
yeah. I know. I mean, like you said, the most beautiful drives I took was the Highway 1 along the left coast there, and there's so many spots you're like, man, this is nice. Like if it weren't for the falling rocks, I'd stay around here a little bit a little bit longer. And there's this one part where you go down, like you come over like a hill, and you go into a valley, and you look up, and there's like some mountain there in Oregon, and like the green is the greenest green you ever greened. And then there's like little whatever. It's like, wow, this is a beautiful country here. This is amazing. Yeah, I have one for the racism. I mean, I sure like it. But, yeah, I mean, I can do with a little racism maybe. I don't know. There's just some beautiful country out there, and then also like going up the hills, like in Washington State and stuff, and you're like, it's kind of tough driving this. You're like, oh, I don't know if I gotta navigate. Can you imagine doing that like on a wagon or like a horse? Like, oh, hold on, it's all right. We're just gonna go over this mountain, Billy. Just the horse with your backpack, which is like a stick and a few rags and like a canteen and an oil lantern, whatever it is. And people were
Which
crazy,
I'm
man.
sure, yeah. And there were stretches there where, as you're driving through, we went through the Grand Tetons in Yellowstone. Is when we get past Yellowstone into Montana, there's these really pretty stretches of valley in between the mountains where they were taking their wagons through. One thing I noticed is there were no trees, just an ocean of prairie, and because of that, there's not a lot of big wildlife there
Mm.
either. And those were the stretches where you're like, okay, there's not a lot to eat, super boring. Let's just try to get through here as fast as we can. But yeah, I'm going what 80, 85 miles an hour through there. They're going at 5 miles an hour. I cannot imagine
Yeah.
the boredom.
Yeah, you're just like, just keep going, just keep on going, and then also like that you had to deal with the indigenous Americans that like were like, oh, what are you doing to what's going on here, right? And then actual wildlife was like,
Who are these people?
yeah, this is the land of the indigenous Americans, and then they were like, well, get out of here, and then there was actual wildlife. There's reason to believe that some of the bears that we have now are like the kind and gentle bears. The actual truly crazy bears, they've been killed off now, right? Because they were like, "What is this?" And they were out there attacking. So you kill that one, and that one didn't have no babies. So now you got the gentle bears. Imagine that. These are the bears, the ones that are doing bear attacks now, are the gentle ones. It's not even like the crazy ones.
The cool ones.
Yeah, you had to hunt those ones down. It's like these bears are real bearish.
Yeah, and bears aren't a big deal here. Cities over though, you'll hear like coworkers talking like, "A bear got in my trash today," or "Yeah, I saw a bear on my porch."
And they don't just mean Aldo. No, so yeah, that's funny. That's crazy stuff. So, I mean, I just every place has its own thing to deal with, and that's fine. Anyways, I like America, and it's real great, and I encourage everybody to go out there and go see some America because it's real nice and purtiful.
That's really pretty up here.
Yeah. All right. So just to wrap this up, put a nice little button on this one because we're right at time. Is that nobody likes losses. I don't like these losses. There are a lot. There's a lot of stuff to learn about this one. I don't think that we should fire Matt Capone following this game or anything like that. There's nothing egregious that I
No.
saw in defensive play calling, defensive organization, and then anything that could be solved by firing a guy midweek. Like you want to get better, off season day one, and it's not just Matt Capone. It's also strength and conditioning coach. It's like, hey, you remember when that dude caught the ball 3 yards short, and we had three North Texan players hit him, and he still moved the pile forward for a first down? That's why we lift. That's why you come into off season. That's why you
Leg
work
day.
harder. That's why you do that. Yeah, that's what happened. That's the motivation for that. I put that
Yeah,
in the thing.
Capone has improved the defense from since day one last year.
Yeah, either through recruiting or changing his own scheme. I,
Yep,
I thought
changing the scheme.
they did smart things, right? Shane Witter, right? He's like 250, 230 pounds. Hey, let's put him head up on their 224-pound receiver, and we'll jam him at the line. And so then he doesn't get ahead of steam running at our 5'8" corner, right? That's pretty smart. We had success with that. Rock Taylor caught a couple passes, but they were crossing routes. Low, he didn't do anything super amazing. He caught that one big first down, but I would say that had more to do with the pass rush than it did, our corner who was, sitting in
Yeah,
his
I mean,
own.
yeah, exactly. Those plays were in zone, and they attacked the zone, and it worked a few times. And that's all I got to say for those.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Is like, hey, we don't gotta fire the guy. Let's not be crazy. Let's be smarter fans than just like, oh, we lost, fire everybody. Like, okay, all right, you can say that,
Yeah,
whatever, but I ain't gonna do anything.
he's he's been developing these guys since last year, right? We guys were out of position. They weren't attacking the right place, being impatient, and we're starting to see that patience pay off this past season.
Now, I will say, if like when them Kirby Smart Tree kind of people came in, I was like, oh, I can do a better job than this guy. And yeah, maybe you just hear him out a little bit, like, but like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Matt Capone for the simple fact is I don't necessarily love the three high defense for a lot of things. And again, I think Memphis runs it better than anybody in our conference, and Memphis got sliced up for 653 yards. Right? They had allowed, I mean, like it can be beat. No defense is perfect,
Right.
et cetera, and all that stuff. But that's what I'm saying. Is like it's not just the scheme, and I think you need some different looks. I think what makes Memphis good is that they have an active, aggressive defensive line, and to me, it's always that. Like any defense looks so much better when you have that. You look at Georgia. From what I hear, I didn't watch the game, but apparently their defensive line was killing the Texas offensive line. Yeah, you look real good when you can get to the quarterback and blow things up. The guy's like, oh,
Makes a difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Mean Green Nation podcast from the. I'm show you guys what's going on here. Show you I'm visiting a hotel. Look at that behind the
There's a
curtain.
nice couch right there.
I'll blur it out. Don't look at this couch. I saw this at least. So here's a quick story. We got here. This is the University of Memphis hotel, the Holiday Inn, the fancy guy right here. And it's this is where all the players are staying. So they were like, oh, they're a little late leaving, and so it's everybody's like, why are they here? I explained to my kids and my wife what was that. I was like, yeah, they all stay at a hotel. I didn't realize that we picked the hotel that they stayed at. I didn't think they stayed at the Holiday Inn, but whatever, it makes sense, I guess. So we had to wait. So we're just eating food in the lobby. We ordered like some local fare, and we're eating it in the lobby and kind of waiting for them to leave. No, my daughter's taking pictures of them, and then like they're like, yeah, we gotta make sure the sheets are washed and all this stuff. It's gonna be a while, so we're just kind of waiting. This is also their school of hospitality and management, so there's like classrooms in here. It's kind of weird. Like
Hmm.
there's like a projector in there. I think the team used it as meeting rooms, right, to prepare for North Texas. So all of it is kind of weird and funny. And I thought about trying to sneak into one of those and doing the podcast from there, but instead I'm just doing it here. There was also a presidential suite, and my wife was like, "Why am I not staying in there?" I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's because I spend
The
my time
Holiday Inn
doing,
presidential suite.
yeah." So I was like, I didn't know that. What does that look like anyway? So I'm imagining.
The complimentary rack of ribs.
I don't know. I mean, so I get love. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. Join at the founder level, right? See if you can help me get presidential suite at the Holiday Inn. 2 years from now, we play at Memphis again. Maybe me and Green Nation stays at the presidential suite.
Sprinkle some brisket in the jacuzzi.
I need some more barbecue sauce for my stay. All right. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to Ben the Mean Green Nation podcast. Thanks, Aldo. Fighting Bears, avoiding, go Mean Green.
Go mean green.
Recording stopped.